Welcome to another edition of Boundaries and Brotherhood with my co-host, Miss Carrie Pullaro. But today's topic, guys, today's topic is going to be why you're attracted to men who can't lead. Do you repeatedly find yourself trying to fix your partner or even the lack of finding a partner and unpack the psychological patterns that draw you to men who resist leadership or their lack of, like she put in her post, why are you dating men that can't even freaking lead a person? At the end of this, guys, at the end of this, guys and girls, right? And this is for you men too that might be lacking in that department. We're gonna identify certain fixer tendency that she has, right? Understand the root causes of this. Why is this attraction is kind of like a red flag for you as a female, right? And develop new dating patterns to attract the type of man she has now enabled. Miss Carrie Pullaro, welcome back. Well, I guess all set up technically. You do your thing.
Thanks for having me back. I have missed you. And for those of you that don't know, I am a relationship and identity coach. I help high achieving women become the prize in love and in their life. Why are you attracting men that don't know how to lead? I love this topic. For me, for the longest time, chaos felt familiar to me. So men that don't lead created the emotional distance of that caregiver that I had that was inconsistent. And it just kind of recreated that relationship I had with my parent or with my dad, when I was younger. So my nervous system just really thought that anxiety was attraction. And so he felt like, so a man who couldn't lead me would feel like familiar. That's the best word to use. It felt familiar. Home was chaos. Home was chaotic. And so anything that felt chaotic felt normal. That's all.
The familiarity of that, the chaos and everything else that comes out. What's a red flag for both a male and a female? If you haven't dealt with the trauma that you dealt with the past relationships and you're still a red flag going into these men that don't know how to lead or they think they can lead, but they don't know how to lead, like both overthinking is a response, romanticizing what he could be, and actually relying on hopium versus, well, you think, it's like you're falling for chemistry like it was what you put in your post. You're falling for chemistry like it was a spiritual state instead of looking at it for what it is, a trauma response. Please hit on these three topics because for women, if you can't recognize a good guy in your past and everything else, why is it that, you find you repeatedly doing these things as a woman?
Because it's familiar. I think that's the best explanation for it all. And not to make it right or wrong, I think that especially for me, it had been, I would judge myself based on these decisions I was making. Like, why can't I just pick the right guy? Why am I always constantly getting it wrong? Maybe it's just me. And it was just the interpretation that I had of like how a man was supposed to show up for me. I thought I was supposed to do everything because I had seen my mother doing everything all the time, but it was only because my dad wasn't present. They had been divorced. I think you also like create these ideas of what relationship looks like, especially when you come from a divorced family. Like you create an idea of what you think relationships should look like. And it really doesn't have to look any particular way, to be honest, but we create these fantasies of what we think they're supposed to look like.
For a female that has been in that situations, right? Past trauma, everything else that you have. Now that you're a woman that gets flowers, gets plans made for her, gets consistency without begging. How do you become that person that you tell your clients?
It's about
What you going? That's what you
it's about creating the relationship with myself.
Yeah.
When I don't know who I am, then I can't expect anyone else to know who I am either. If I don't love me, then I can't expect anyone else to love me. So when I'm getting flowers, it's not when I'm not getting flowers, because he doesn't think he needs to do anything to keep me. Like that's not necessarily true. a man who can't lead is a man who will give bare minimum energy, but it's because I'm giving bare minimum energy to myself. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So he's just reflecting how I'm showing up for me. So if he's not being a particular way, he is just reflecting how I am treating myself. So that's the easiest way for me to always see where I am in my relationship is how's he showing up for me? Because it also tells me so much about how I value myself. Like that is huge. Yeah.
That is huge. Because if you don't value yourself, how do you expect anybody else to value you in your behaviors, in your situations, everything else? This is what I tell, and it comes down to a lot of different things because validation, outside validation, now you're only looking for validation from one person versus multiple people or social media. Like Carrie was saying earlier, like now you can keep being the cool girl, right? And nothing gets done. Or you can become the woman who gets everything. How would you direct? How would you be the orchestrator of that? What do you,
That your standards have to match your identity. So what that means is if my identity is I am that strong, badass, independent, I don't need anything, I am going to attract men who believe I don't. But when my identity shifts to like the softness, I'm soft and powerful, right? But
yes.
I desire like love and leadership and effort from a man, right? Then I will attract a man who responds to that, and I won't be attracting a man with the bare minimum because I'm not giving that attention. I'm not giving that energy.
Is it delusional though? Is it delusional for women to change their standards? You know how you see all these shows about, they want this, you got this podcast over here, they're talking about all these things. Is it delusional for some women to hold out to certain standards because they cannot give and take? Or should they stick to their guns? Let's reverse this. Miss Pullaro used to be that type of woman. She embraced her softness, she knows how to give up, she knows how to let a man lead. How do you see the differences? Like, where was that aha moment for you where you caught Amy? And what do you tell your clients? Because that's the key. I mean, you got a lot of women over here watching this and men because they want to hear from somebody that's been down that road.
For me, the main thing that attracted me to him was when we were in that workshop together, and
Right.
he was so like the honesty and the transparency there of saying to me, "Hey, like I see you, and my experience of you is, yes, you want to be in a relationship, but you don't know how to communicate your needs to a man, and you hide the ball. You hide the ball, and if the guy gets it right, then you move the goalpost." And nobody wins. Like you don't set anything up to win. I think for me, that moment landed for me that, oh my God, I do not set relationships up to win because my belief is the man will always leave. And so if I set the relationship up to lose, then I'm already ready for it. You know what I mean? Like I'm already ready for it. So somebody seeing that and then saying that to me, it really landed for me that, oh my God, why wouldn't I set the relationship to win? It was a huge aha moment. I think another thing is, especially that's present with my clients, is how they always see the man misbehaving. I guess you could say would be the best way of saying it. They internalize how they would behave. So anytime there's any kind of conflict, they internalize the way that they would behave as a female, and they expect that the man is going to behave that way, right? Like, so maybe they have a tendency to be catty or gossipy or just, you know what, I just don't want to do this thing. And they expect the man to behave that way as well. And so if I always look through that lens that the man is misbehaving or doing it intentionally, right? That's just going to feed the story that I have that he can't show up for me or that he won't show up for me. He doesn't want to show up for me. So I am literally creating the relationship, period, at all times based on the lens that I have. And so then if I change the way that I'm showing up and I'm begin to look through that lens of, oh my God, I want to set the relationship up to win. Oh my God, I want to be here for my partner. Like, how can I create joy in their life or support them? And when I begin to look through that lens, because that's what I'm wanting to create for them, for myself, for them, then how I look at them begins to change. I don't look at the things that they do with contempt. I used to look at every man in contempt. Like I would hold them in contempt. As long as you hold every man in contempt, you will never have a good relationship, period. Because you always think they're out to
Resentment.
get you in some way.
You start holding resentment. You start holding grudges. You start holding a lot of different
Yeah.
things. And then from a guy's point of view, how do you expect me as a guy to come out and be the best I can be if you're going to hold that resentment because that energy is coming out, right?
Mhm.
Then you're basically sabotaging the whole thing before it even got started.
100%. It's
Right. Now, when somebody told you that, what did you do to shift, or how long did it take you to kind of like move on from that? Aha.
it can still be a work in progress.
Oh, of course.
It can still be a work in progress. So I went back to the relationship I had with my dad.
Uh-huh.
And actually we had such a great conversation during the holidays about this because he saw a video that I made a comment about, like, oh my God, my dad is like my best friend. Like I love to share things with him. And he's like, what do you think changed our relationship? And I was like, I let go of like being angry and this attachment of I wanted him to be this dad, like the dad that I missed when I was 8 years old. Like he can never be that for me. We're not there anymore. And so, like, letting go of that, what kind of relationship can we create now as an adult, as me being the adult daughter? And I see so many women that are still stuck with the wounded inner child leading the way. The
Oh,
wounded inner child is the one that's picking these men.
the wounded inner little girl is affecting her relationships with the standards. And she's also sabotaging why she can't find a man that leads because she can't even lead herself, is my interpretation.
Yes, 100%. Because imagine if your 8-year-old wounded self was running your fucking life.
You remember that movie? I Can Hear What Women Think? Did I come close to
Oh, no, I don't remember the name. That's the name, but I know. Yes.
Right. You became the woman, in your quote, you became the woman men rise for because you choose yourself. Right. When other women hear that, what is the old interpretation of that versus the new one?
I think the old interpretation is being selfish. Is if I choose myself, then I'm being selfish. And we're taught that, being selfish is wrong. But I believe that being selfish is fucking 100% because I get to create the relationship with myself and I get to become the person that I want to be in relationship with. So that's who I attract.
Correct. Now, but me and Doc just didn't want to about being selfish because you have to be for your self-care and your mental health. Now, when you're selfish in your relationships, that's where it's not going to work. What's the difference?
So prioritizing myself is not selfish because that's self-respect, right? Or like, right. It's completely different. I'm choosing me, then my standards rise. My relationships will shift. My entire energy is like recalibrated and upgraded. And I believe that we were conditioned to be selfless to like our own detriment. Do you know what I mean? Like we were taught, be nice, be agreeable, be humble, be low maintenance, be the easy one. And so we were taught to just go with the flow and not say what we wanted and not communicate what we want or what we're looking for and not really essentially like lean into our own desires. And that is what kills attraction, right? Do you want to be with somebody who overgives or has to overprove?
Like it's like not a give and take no more. It's just a one side all the way like jamboree.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
sadly, it's not attractive, but I always say that being selfish is being magnetic because I'm getting turned on by my own life and I'm excited. And
Here's the difference. When selfish is not a bad word. Self-respect, having boundaries, just like me saying, boundaries and brotherhood. I'm being a brother to Miss Pullaro because me and her are connected that way. But at the same time, there's a misinterpretation because self-love, having having that drawing the lines of being able to enjoy the life you have because where you came from. You're not trying to get that outside validation. You're not trying to get those likes. You're not trying to put yourself out there for people that not going to reciprocate. There's a big difference because You took accountability for your life at that moment and you just built everything up from there. Now, the topic that we talked about is, why are you attracted to men that can't lead though? That baby girl trauma. What else that does that entail? Because men probably all want to be leaders. They want to puff out their chest. They want to think they're all that. They're an alpha, but actually, their alpha is just looking for outside validation again, right? Why do women, or what are the red flags in themselves from you? Because I'm pretty sure you have clients that go through this.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 100%.
But what are some of the things, the real life stuff that you're seeing?
I know we talk about like the chaos feeling familiar, but this is the reality is calmness feels unsafe to them. Because when you grow up around the inconsistency and the instability and the distance, like your nervous system, that is why your nervous system mistakes anxiety for attraction. Because a man who can't lead feels like the familiar home that you grew up in. Not because he's good for you, but because
Accustomed to it.
my body is like, oh, and it's not safety. And a lot of times we think that it's the safety, but it's not safety at all. It's just that being in an anxious state is now our normal. And so being calm is like, that's unsafe. Like,
Right.
I remember when I first really got into this work and I had met a man who was very, very calm. And I was just like, oh yeah, this guy, for one, I'm like, he's boring as fuck. Like this dude is like totally boring, right? Because my body wanted that high of like that high and the roller coaster. That was like the normal. That was the normal.
Right. But let me ask you this. When you see these men that have the EQ, emotional intelligence, and having their shit together, right? Is that attracted, or do you resonate that as boring? Or depending on what stage you are in life compared to that?
I think it's attractive as fuck. You know, emotional intelligence is leadership.
Absolutely, yeah.
Maybe 5 years ago, I would have been like, oh, you think you're better than me? Do you know what I mean? Like, why are you trying to make me feel bad? Or why are you better?
Ah, okay.
You know, like being in that workshop with Abel and him sharing with me what he saw, an older version of me would have been like, this guy's a dickhead. Honestly, that would have been the first thing. Look at him trying to like attack me. But I was so appreciative in that moment of, oh my God, he actually is like emotionally intelligent enough to see where I'm at. And he wasn't doing it in a way that was disrespectful or mean. He was just sharing with me exactly what he saw. And I didn't feel that defensiveness, right? And I think that's when you begin to know you're starting to heal or that you have healed is when something like that happens and you don't get so super offended and defensive. I wasn't like that at all. It came from gratitude of thank you for being honest with me, because how many other people wouldn't have said that?
But they're also looking, when it's the same like mine's in your relationship, right? I can ask you, you can ask me. There's nothing else I want with you but friendship, right? Because one of my other guests the other day said, like, she did a post where, can men have friendship with women and not have wanting more out of it? And I'm like, absolutely. I have a lot more. You mean? Because I know where I stand. I know where my bond is now. If you was talking to a 25-year-old or 23-year-old trying to do everything else and their mama and everything else, that'd be a different story. But now that you know this, right? Say I was your client as a female, right? In one of your workshops, how would it be if I coming to you with these certain problems like, Carrie, why am I always attracted to this type of guy when I have this good guy on the side? But he doesn't know how to lead, but where is the confusion? Please explain that to
So when you say good guy, what do you mean by that?
the boring guy. Like you said, the boring guy.
I would have them actually write out like what is it they want to create in their relationship? And who am I? Like, what is it in me that's attracted to this guy? Right.
Okay.
Because I need to recognize the difference between being regulated and the chaos, right? So if I can make a list of like, how would I want in my perfect relationship, how do I want the man to show up, right? And then I get to look at how I'm showing up. And if this guy is boring and he's emotionally regulated, well, emotionally regulated in my mind, it used to be boring. Now I'm like appreciative of that
Mm.
because what I realized when I had two different types of men, I had like the boring guy, and then I had the guy that like got me like so riled up. And it wasn't like
The
I'm not
chaos.
attracted to him, I'm attracted to the feeling he gives me. The boring
How do
guy
you
isn't boring.
know?
He's stable, he's consistent, he's emotionally available, and my nervous system's like, what the fuck is this? I've never experienced before.
You know what? You were attracted to the chaos he brought to your nervous system, not
Yeah.
him.
No, not him at all. It's never personal. It's always about my interpretation of it. And so when I'm
Ah,
attracted, I wasn't attracted to him. I was attracted to the feeling that he brought, right? The energy
interesting.
that he brought. And that was why I wasn't attracted to the boring guy. And I labeled
Right.
him boring because stability, consistency, emotional availability is like, what is this? It's like another fucking language. Do you know what I mean? Like,
What?
like, no, I don't know what to do with this.
But can you turn a boring guy into a leader without having the chaos? Or would it be unattractive because you would be leading the relationship, not giving the man the helm?
I think the boring guy is the one that shows up anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like the boring guy is the one that knows how to lead. And it's recognizing that my attraction,
So
I
you,
used to think that, oh my God, I have to have all these butterflies and be like excited. And attraction isn't chemistry, it's like trauma. And it's my trauma choosing what feels familiar. So when I recognize that part, that the fact that I'm attracted to the inconsistency,
okay.
that I had to work for attention and work for validation, work for the presence. And so boring feels wrong because it feels too fucking easy,
No challenge?
too available. And so
Mm.
I equate the anxiety with romance and the availability for boring as fuck. And I don't want you if you're boring as fuck because I think that that's not romantic. I have this interpretation that I have to be on this high, that I have to feel these butterflies all the time. And that's not true at all. I'm
Okay.
choosing the intensity over the intimacy.
So let me ask you this now, right? So if he triggers parts of you that you've spent years protecting, like in your post, right? How do you change that? Or how do you direct a man that, or how do you, as a female, as a woman, versus somebody that you might have found a man that can lead,
Okay.
but you start picking at his nuances? How does that turn out? Because you spend years protecting all this crap, but you're actually, the chaos, the behavior is what's attracted. How do you deal with that from the female's point of view? And men, if you're listening, right, you might be able to get some tips.
So it's understanding what's really happening, that I'm choosing the intensity over the intimacy. Like the exciting guy is going to trigger my nervous system, but the boring guy is going to trigger my fear of intimacy because I can't even slow down long enough to be with me. That's why I want to be activated all the time and moving all the time and running around, right? Because it does not allow me to sit with me. Like the
They
exciting
call him
guy,
Chad. They call him Chads out here.
he keeps me activated,
Okay,
right?
Chads.
But the boring guy is the one that is really asking me to soften. And so it feels so fucking confusing for me in the beginning.
I see.
And because if he's boring or if he feels boring, it's because he's not activating my wounds. So and it's understanding that the stability is not boring, consistency is not boring. A man who shows up is not boring. He's just not poking at me, at my unhealed parts. Like that's all it
Yeah.
is. And the poking is, oh, I'm like, I think that's passion.
Misinterpreted as,
Verse interpretation. And it's all it is.
but it's okay. So now the difference, okay? Here's where it gets kind of different, right? Now, you've evolved into this person, right? And you know two sides. This is why me and you work so good together, right? Because we both seen two sides, upside down, backwards, all kind of different ways, right? When you evolve into this person and you notice it and you see another female, another woman, this path, how do you explain that?
So I had to choose this work for me because when I chose myself and when I began to regulate my nervous system, regulate myself, do my own work, and that began to shift my identity. So my body stopped craving this adrenaline like this adrenaline rush. And I wanted leadership. I was like, oh, I want leadership. I want consistency. I want safety. And then the boring guy becomes sexy as fuck because he actually shows it's doing the work. And I think it's both. I honestly
Is
think
it
it's
both?
both.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's both because I guess because different phase of life, say you crave certain things, maybe you got it out of your system, maybe you did some things that you didn't want anymore. And then, it's where you're looking for the security, you're looking for the emotional availability, you're looking for the involvement, the leveling up, both you putting you guys self together, like how you and Amy push each other up to become better people, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Being the trauma negatizing thing, like say the Chads of the world would be because they just want to do what they do. You mean just want to have sex and all this other stuff and just make chaos and everything else. Quote that got me, right? Believe his behaviors, not his promises. What were some of the what are some of the behaviors, the qualities that men with leadership roles attract women? It's for you guys out there.
When he responds back to calls, or when he follows through and he says he's going to call back or he's going to text you. Perfect. When he plans the dates, when he communicates,
Nice.
leads, like all of that is emotional maturity. I remember in the very beginning when I was first dating Abel, I remember we went out to this tapas restaurant that was like, you ordered like a bunch of like little plates, right? I'd never been to this place before, but I'm like looking on the menu like of what I want. And he's like, I'm just going to order for you. Now I have to tell you that like it's something so simple like that. Now I'm like, oh my God, fucking thank you. I don't have to think about it. But back then I was like, don't try to fucking tell me what to do and what to eat. Are you trying to control what I eat? Are you, because we're like all the thoughts, right? Like, are you telling me that I'm fat, that I need to work out? Like, you have no idea that that's
Holy
like,
smokes! Are you serious?
oh my God.
Went through all that hit just like that? All because I went to the restaurant, I ordered for you.
Yeah. Now
Masculine, right? That's masculine. That's cool though.
it is. And even more appreciative of it today because he's like so familiar with all of my food allergies. So it's like, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh my God, he's going to order for me. Cool. I don't have to deal with this. I'm grateful for that. But in the beginning, it was just when you've never had anyone do something like that for you, and not from a place of control, but it was
Yes,
just
no.
like, I want you to genuinely have an amazing experience. I come here all the time. I know it's amazing. And I just want to share this moment with you. That's a different energy.
If you're a woman that got put in this situation, and
I'm telling you.
people with your size, you have to go work on this Carrie. Because she knows how to get out of it. Because I didn't realize how many thoughts, like, when you see some of those memes, you see a guy says something and then the girl says, I got to think about this, how I'm going to pay for Christmas, how I'm going to make this, what I'm going to do for my family. I didn't realize that's what happens when a man is just trying to lead.
Yes. I mean, at least for me, there's all these conflicting thoughts that go in through my head. And on any given day, within all of our interactions throughout the day, they can go from, oh my God, he's ignoring me, to, oh my God, he's not attracted to me, to, oh my God, he made dinner, or he made coffee, or he made hot tea. Like,
It's a roller coaster.
It can be, absolutely. But in like recognizing those today, those are just thoughts. Listen, I've had over 48 years of experience of these insane thoughts going through my head. They're going to come up. There's nothing wrong with them. But how I respond to them today is completely different. It's just like, oh, I just like let them go out. Like they come in, they roll out. It's not a big deal.
Let's end with this one though, right? This is a quote of the day, right? On leadership. If you're a man in leadership role with your woman, your relationship, your starting relationship, men will say a lot, but their actions will snitch. Explain that from both a man's side, what men could do so they don't do it, and from a female side, interpretation.
If you're a man in leadership, your words mean nothing if your actions don't match. That's the truth. A real leader doesn't just talk. His actions match what he is saying. And I think that goes for both parties. Am I in integrity with the things that I'm saying? That's the quickest way to know if somebody's out of alignment. If they're saying a bunch of stuff and they're not following through with it.
100%.
And that's the easiest way to find out.
women's interpretation, this is the coolest part, right? I can ask Carrie this kind of stuff. I try to ask Andrea this. She'll give me some off the some answer that you record. I mean, she couldn't. I mean,
You couldn't record.
so I couldn't get it on video, right? So it's like from a female's point of view, right? When you see a man just keep talking, the behavior is not, but he says he's in leadership role. Should they run or try and fix it?
What it's like to meet a man who sounds like the whole package is like,
Right?
he talks a big game. He says
Right.
all the right things, right? Like he knows exactly how to articulate a sentence together to make you think he's that guy. But leadership is not in the language at all. It's actually in his lifestyle. So when his actions
Yep.
don't match, they totally expose him, like long before his words ever do. So
I mean, ultimately, though, do women look for leadership or do they want to lead?
I think every woman is different. And I do believe that a lot of my clients, women that are in these positions of power, high achieving, they want, I think the reality is this: they want a man to lead, but they don't know how to. Deep down, like they don't know, like deep down, they definitely want a man to lead. But it's like when I'm at work leading all day long and I come home and I'm supposed to like soften and allow someone like allow him to lead me. And I think one of the things that really supported me was I had a little ritual that I created for myself when I would literally go to work and then I would come home and I would change clothes. I had a mentor tell me, change into a dress. And I'm like, the hell? Like, really? And she's like, yeah, okay. Like, as a ritual, this is like you changing into your feminine. And that allowed me to differentiate between the two.
Right, right. Because that's the thing like I have with Andrea too. Sometimes she cannot distinguish when she comes home. She's on the plane, she's flying with unruly passengers. Like people want to get kicked off. She's like, you mean she's a friend? Then she just, she's out, right? And I said, you're going to have to keep that in check once in a while because the boys see that. You know what I mean? And then that's what is starts affecting thing. Then I have to remind her that, you're not on the plane no more. And I used to make that mistake from me just not carrying things from work to home. And now that I'm with the kids mostly, it's just, that's part of leadership also and recognizing those things.
Oh, absolutely.
But, one of those things that it goes to show that, the growth you can have between your relationship, your personal life, and having control of all of it, even if you're in the beginning stages, there's always room to grow regardless of what happens. We said we're going to end this like 3 times ago.
I know.
You have a workshop going on for women, right? Going into 2026. Do you have something that you're creating, offering, or did you launch it yet?
I have not launched yet. I do have a mini mind coming up called The One That Got Away.
But now, if you want to get in touch with Miss Carrie, if you're looking for insights, you're looking for things, please reach out to her in social media. She's on Instagram. She's on YouTube. You're going to get both of us in a masterclass pretty soon. I've already made this. But we're going to end it with that. 2026, you're going to see a lot coming out of Boundaries and Brotherhood. From sales, AI, systems, confidence, self-validation, relationship buildings. All of this is in place, guys. But if you want to work with her one-on-one, please do. Guys, it's been a journey, but we went over so many different things and we blew through like 40. This is what happens when I don't see my friend for like 3 weeks.
I know, right?
She went to Grand Canyon. I did flat. We did a lot of different stuff. Guys, it's Gordon Wat from Boundaries and Brotherhood. I'll see you guys next time. Carrie, end the show.
Learn to communicate your desires, not your directives.
Ooh, let's talk about that.
End on that.
She goes, ooh.
Hope you liked this one as much as we did. Please share this with someone who could benefit, and be sure to hit that subscribe or notification bell.